Hey up, Front Row Racing DP here, and I'm back from dog sitting. Whew, and I'm knackered. Looking after two slightly well grown puppies has absolutely taken it out of me, like doing 100 laps of the Nordschleife. So yes, I'm back. Because I have been dog sitting in an area where I've had absolutely shocking internet. I mean, we're talking 2.8 meg wireless, and it was so bad that connecting an Ethernet cable and it wouldn't even pick up the internet. So how it could pick it up Wi-Fi but not connected on a Ethernet, I do not know. But anyway, I'm back. And it does mean that I haven't done any driving for 3 days, and it's made a difference. As daft as that might sound, when you haven't raced for 3 days, it takes a bit of time to get back into it. Now, I have done a couple of laps at a couple of places, but I'm definitely off my pace. So anyway, this live stream for this evening, I don't know how long I'm going to be on for, but I've got two main objectives. The first one is to go and drive the Sierra Cosworth around the Nordschleife again. I did it a few days ago. I think what it was. It might have been Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday. I drove around there Saturday. Absolutely loved it. Had a race against the AI. 3 laps of the Nordschleife. Starting at the back, I let them drive off, and then I chased them. And it was absolutely brilliant. The car handled beautifully. I had a great race, some brilliant overtakes, some not so great overtakes, but overall it was very, very enjoyable. Annoyingly though, Twitch is playing up, so when I went to upload it, it wouldn't upload the whole video, and neither would it allow me to cut a highlight. For some reason it's not liking long videos. So what I'm going to try and do is reenact it basically. Now admittedly I did save the replay of that particular race, so I could just record that replay, and I may do, but I actually want to try and give it another go. So I'll do 3 laps of the Nordschleife in the Sierra Cosworth starting from the back, and then I'm going to watch an off-board replay of it. After that, what I drive, where I drive them, I mean, in a way I want to stay out the Nordschleife, but what I drive will be down to the viewers. So if I've got no viewers, then I shall I'll pick what I drive. But if I do get viewers come along, then they can choose what I drive. What I'll do is I'll put a short warm-up session on. So if someone picks a completely random pain in the backside car, I can get a few minutes in it just to see what it's like and make any minor adjustments that I need to make. Okay, I'm going to change my screen to full screen, but I have got my iPad next to me, so if anyone does want to send me messages, they can do, and I will be able to see them. Although while I am driving, I'm not really going to read or respond to messages, especially around the Nordschleife, because it does take a lot of concentration that over the last 3 days has obviously been dulled a little bit. I need to turn the volume off on that, otherwise I'm going to get a nasty echo. And if there is any problems with the feed, i.e. echo or anything like that, feel free to message me and let me know. Not that I can do much about it. Also, what I'm probably going to do is, for this video, I'm going to try and get it, the main aim is for the Sierra Cosworth is to get that video and cut a highlight of it for YouTube. It's probably going to take about 40 minutes in total. And then after that, I'm happy to drive whatever the viewers suggest, unless I decide I'm not going to drive it. But what I am probably going to do is, when I get to about just under 2 hours of the stream, I'm going to stop and I'm going to start up again. And the reason for that is I want to see whether on Twitch it's going to mess up a video that's shorter than 2 hours. Anything over 2 hours that I'm doing at the moment, it just is not liking it. So yeah, I will sort of do a maximum 2 hours and then start up a new feed. It does mean that if I do get quite a few viewers, then I'm probably going to annoy quite a few of them, but I need to try and work out what is going on with Twitch in that respect. Okay then, so 3 laps of the Nordschleife is what I plan on doing. Got 20 computer cars, all in identical cars, on a level of 90, so not quite full yet, but 90's enough. I'm going to give myself a 5-minute warm-up session, so if people do pick completely horrible cars, it gives me half a chance to actually yeah, it gives me half a chance to have a little bit of a drive in them. Now, as I said at the start, I haven't driven for 3 days, so there's a fairly good chance that this is going to go absolutely terribly, because when you haven't driven for a few days, your eye's not quite in, and I know that because I have done a couple of warm-up sections on this particular track in the Cosworth and I was definitely a little slow on my reactions. I have also made a couple of changes to the setup of the Sierra Cosworth, so I don't know whether it's going to benefit me or whether it's not going to benefit me yet, but we shall soon find out. Okay, so we've got a 5-minute warm-up session, but I'm not going to use the whole 5 minutes. I'm just going to go and do a few corners and see if I've got my eye in. Now this particular car, I don't mind letting them breeze past at the moment, because this particular car on cold tyres is an absolute pig. It doesn't like braking, doesn't like turning, and it doesn't like it if you press the throttle. I mean, in the 5 minutes, if I was going to do it all, I would be able to get the tyres warmed up. I just want to make sure that my reactions are up to speed. On the cold tyres, it does test your reactions a bit, especially if you try and push it quite a lot. Just like that. So after I have done this 3-lap race and watched the replay off board, I shall open up what I drive to the viewers. So if there's a car that perhaps you've been driving that you struggle with, or something you just want to watch me drive, feel free to suggest one. However, there are a couple of cars where I may just say no, but we'll have to see how we get on with that one. Obviously, while I am in the race, I'm probably not going to talk a lot, as this track does take a lot of concentration, especially with how that's going to spin. Oh, too much. Got off a wheel on the grass then. Yeah, this track does take a lot of concentration, especially with how the AI drive. I know a lot of people get frustrated with them, especially when they're braking in the middle of a corner, but they're only doing the same as what your engineer tells you to do. Whether you'll hear my engineer or not, I don't know. We'll find out. Hopefully he won't be saying you're being challenged from behind, because that's not what should be happening in the race. It's definitely interesting not having driven for a few days. I mean, the internet connection I had for the last 3 days was so poor that it just wasn't even worth trying. I did try doing a little bit offline, but, and this is going to sound really stupid, really ridiculous, but it's true. The chair, or the chairs that I had a choice to sit in, were just wrong for my seating position. I've got so used to my own chair, my own wheel at the right height, distance from me, pedals distance from me, and all that kind of thing, that the seat that I had just gave me the wrong seating position. It felt alien, and I struggled to drive. So I thought, you know what, let's just have a break. So what I did do instead was I focused on doing some other YouTube videos, which I've now posted to my YouTube. And basically what they are is, for any wheel users out there, if you've heard of Jack Spade and his Project Cars forum link about all the wheel settings, I went through his settings, applied them to all of the cars, and I've done YouTube videos for each of the car classes with all of the settings on. So if his link confuses you a little bit too much, I have done short YouTube videos just showing you what all the settings are, so you can go and watch them, pause them, snapshot them, and all that lot. And I have spoken to Jack Spade as well, and told him what I'd done.
Let's try and make up some ground here,
and asked his opinion whether I have permission to share them to the community. He's had a look. He's perfectly happy for me to put them out there to the Project Cars community. Okay, so I'm just going to let the AI cars drive off for a moment, let them get all their carnage and silly crashes out of the way. So yeah, if you do want to check out those videos, they are on my YouTube channel, Thorough Racing DP. But for now, I'm going to quiet down a little bit and crash. Well done, Dave. That is not how I intended it to go. I've obviously let the tyres get a little too cold there, so we'll try that again, shall we? Right, I'll let them pull away again. And this time I won't wait as long.
Green, green, green.
Okay, so don't wait too long, Dave, otherwise your tyres will go too cold. Okay, let's go. Now with this car and a lot of turbo cars, you do have to be careful if the tyres do get cold, and also how much throttle you use in the lower gears. Don't you dare! That's a shocking start, Dave. Oh, told you I was out to practice. Now when I did this the other day, it went absolutely beautifully. So if this does go really, really bad, I'll end up just videoing the replay of that. Right, okay, focus and drive. Now they are still quite bunched up, which means this could get very tricky to overtake. It also means if I do overtake, if I get held up too much, I'm going to be susceptible to attack. Come on, get offline. Thank you. I have just seen that someone sent me a message, and I did actually look at it. While I'm driving, I will tend to not look at messages, especially around here, but this is the Ford Sierra Cosworth, and so are all of the AI cars in this particular race. Oh, nearly at the back of him. How slow are you gonna go round here, fella? Come on, it's a quick one, it's a quick one. Ah, damn it. That was a bad move. I'm definitely off my game a bit, but at least this will be... Whoa, I was about to say good warm-up. As soon as I dipped the brake there, it just locked the rear. Well, there is a good chance that as I went down the gear, that also locked the rear. In my warm-up before this, I had an even bigger moment there, and I thought it was the brakes that were locking up. When I watched the replay, it was actually timed with a downshift, so there's a good chance that that's exactly what's just happened there. And it's a bit frustrating because I don't usually crash this much, twice in one lap round here. That's unlike me. But there you go, that's what happens when you don't drive for 3 days. Driving very, very badly here, Dave. Very badly. Come on, fella, speed up. Oh, I can't believe you just drove off the track and then drove into me, you swine.
Box, box, box.
That's better. Got all wobbly over there then. Well, with how this first lap's gone, I'm not so sure I'll be wanting to watch the replay and record it. I definitely know I can drive much better, much cleaner. It did not like it under the brakes then. You son of a bitch. one of the changes I've made has perhaps not worked with this car. Okay, so it's the green one that caused me a lot of problems on the previous lap. Let's try and get past you as quick as we can. Give you a little touring car nudge. Definitely not race driving as clean as I know I can. I just have to use this as a warm-up. That was better. Okay, you're gonna pull over, but it ain't gonna work for you. That was a little nudge I was trying to avoid and could have done without. Hard on the brakes then, which meant I had to be, which made the rear end step out. think I may have to have a look at the brake balance on this car. Don't brake, don't brake. Oh, that was lucky.
Brilliant overtake. Nice one. Straightening the box at the end of this lap, please.
That was a slightly better lap, so let's hope this last one is much better. Off the grass, off the grass. Yeah, I'd definitely say the brakes aren't quite set right. I can't be as aggressive on them as I would like to be. Then makes cornering tricky because you never know if it's actually going to slow down enough or lock up if you go too aggressive on it. Very nearly lost it there. Stay on the road. Ooh. That got a little bit too close. I do not want to be catching them up here. Oh, and that's why. I mean, I was going very, very slow, and he still was on the brakes. Now, if I'd have been driving for the last 3 days, I'd have blitzed up the inside of him absolutely flat out. But because I'm in a ladder practice, I thought, no, I'll take it sensible. I'll take it slow, I'll avoid him. And no, he bangs the brakes on anyway. on their brakes a lot. Yeah, brakes are not being my friend at the moment. Oh, come on, fella, you do not need to brake here. I know your engineer may be telling you to brake, but you really don't want to do it, because I'll be ramming you off, and I really don't want to. Okay, it didn't want to turn then. I know it can do that corner much faster. You son of a bitch. That has not gone to plan at all. Now, for any of you that are watching this that have seen me drive before, you'll know this is not how I normally drive. And for those of you that are watching for the first time, trust me, this is not how I normally drive. I've spent the last sort of 4 or 5 minutes thinking, okay, the car doesn't quite seem to be handling right. It's not being very nice on the brakes. And it's not being too nice on turning. And I think what it may be, when, well, before the weekend when I did this race, I did make a couple of setup changes, but then when I put all the wheel settings on for the YouTube videos, I have removed those changes, and I'm not sure exactly what changes I made. So I don't think the car's just quite handling as well as I know it can.
Box.
And add that to me not driving as well as I can means there's going to be a couple of crashes. But I mean, if you've got a brake pedal that you just can't trust, then you're pretty much screwed. Right, well, as I head towards the end of this lap, if anyone does know of a car that's on the game that they want to see me drive, then feel free to mention it, or perhaps a car that they've struggled with that they'd like me to have a quick go in. Feel free to mention it while I'm waiting for anyone to comment. I think what I'll do is have a look at the settings on this particular car, the car setup, and see if I can spot something that is perhaps not quite right. Ferrari. As far as I know, there is no Ferraris on here, I'm afraid. Okay, Kays, do I recommend his force feedback settings? Yes, I do. However, the ones I've done the videos of, you may put them on and find that it doesn't feel comfortable for you. So you may find that one of his other set of settings does. But as I mentioned in my videos, it could be a case of you apply the settings that I've shown, work on the car setup to get the most out of the car. Any rotary powered Mazdas? Well, there's none of them, I'm afraid. Admittedly, on this game you're not going to get every car that is available. I mean, it's not Gran Turismo, but it's a much better game than Gran Turismo. I mean, I've said many times, I'd rather have less choice of cars and better gameplay than, for example, with Gran Turismo, 1,000 cars and gameplay that doesn't seem very good. AIs, I mean, people complain about the AIs on this game, but at least the AIs on this game do something. On Gran Turismo, they do bugger all. And even if you did the B-spec races and watched your B-spec driver, you'd think, go on, overtake him, chuck it up the inside, or come on, floor it out of that corner. And they'd just sit there on the brakes, and they'd never attempt anything. And the AI cars, when you're racing them, were exactly the same. Okay, I'm just going to have a quick look at these settings. And no worries, Kays. BM. Which BM, Al? Any? Oh, tyre pressure. It could have been tyre pressure, but it's the brakes that don't particularly feel quite right in that Sierra. Any. Okay, no problem. I shall jump in a BMW in a moment. I just want to try and work out what's going on with this Sierra Cosworth, otherwise it's just gonna bug me all day. I'm trying to think, did I raise the ride height in this the other day? I think I did. Okay, now what I'm about to do here I would never advise anybody to do, and that is make a lot of changes all at the same time. I'm only doing it because I kind of have an idea of what my setup should be anyway. So don't go doing this. It's not advisable. See, now the change I've made to the brakes there, the more brake pressure and the brake balance, there's a good chance it's going to make the fronts lock up more, but what I've done with the ride height isn't going to change that. I tell you what, I've only driven the supercarts once around the knockoff Suzuka track on here. And no, it wasn't actually. I drove them around a small go-kart track and it was absolute mayhem. Then I drove them around Suzuka. I found them to be alright, but as soon as you touch the curb, away they go. Right, okay, Mazda, this Sierra Cosworth is not a 4x4, it's a rear-wheel drive, as far as I'm aware. Admittedly, I know Sierra Cosworths usually are four-wheel drive. I will check, but it's interesting though, because the problem I'm having on the brakes is not a problem that I had a couple of nights ago, and the only things I changed then was ride height, and I quite possibly changed the brakes. So let's open that up a little bit because that was more open. Right. I'm going to save this to the Nordschleife circuit, at least then if I have mucked it up. It's only on the one that I've mucked it up. I'm going to go and do the warm-up session, and then I will go and jump in a BMW. You could be right, Scotty. I mean, I do know that traditionally the Sierra Cosworth are four-wheel drive. No, hang on. No. You got me thinking now. My mate had one, and I can't remember. I'll have a look in a moment anyway. But the sway bar, I'm not too worried about the understeer, because the understeer I can solve with the camber or more right foot. It's the locking up under braking that I'm more concerned about. And admittedly, I've put more pressure on. What I've done is I've put more pressure on, but I've put it back to what it was standard, and then I've put it the balance back to what it was standard, just to see if it's worse or better than what I adjusted it to. At least then I know which way to adjust it. Just cruising at the moment while I put my smoke out. Smoking and driving, not wise, especially not smoking and driving fast anyway. No, it's not going to be until I get to a heavy braking zone that I know whether the brakes are better or worse. Now, it may seem daft to have increased the brake pressure, but the reason for that is, I mean, think about it, if you're driving a real car, how often do you go full on the brakes? I mean to the floor. Not very often, unless you're about to ram into the back of someone. So by increasing the brake pressure, it just means you can put less pedal down and get the same or more braking. That's better turning already. Much better turning, so the camber change has helped. I also think increasing the ride height has helped. Around here it's such a bumpy track with massive curbs that slightly higher does tend to be slightly better. I was fully on the brakes there and it didn't lock up on me, but admittedly that's not one of the heavy braking zones. Oh, he's nudged me. You swine. I went to that side so you wouldn't bloody hit me. Now the corner I was locking up at before is on its way. So I don't want to get too close to him. Okay, so I've had a little bit of wheel locking, but it's not spun the car out. So that change I have made, or those changes I've made, have worked a treat. Okay, so I've already saved those settings, so we'll go and jump out of here. Go and jump in a BMW. Increasing the brake pressure, you have to be very, very careful doing that, because you go slightly too far and you're going to lock it up at every corner, at every touch of the brakes. There is a fine line. I mean, I've got 85% on that car there, but I do know if you go to 90, it does not like it at all. Right, just have a quick butchers at the info. See, I told you. Okay, Ford Sierra RS 500 Cosworth Group A, manufactured 1988 in Germany, rear wheel drive. There you go, told you it was rear wheel drive. I didn't think all of them were. I'm fairly sure that the Sierra Cosworth my mate had was a four-wheel drive, but he had the four-door. These are obviously the three-door, well, five-door. These are the three-door versions, and it's rear-wheel drive. So, no offence, Scotty, but you're wrong with that one. Right, okay, let's go and jump in a BMW. Al. Okay, we've got the BMW M3 E30. You can pick that one. Or you can pick one of these. So while I have a quick drink, make your choice. I've not driven that car yet. It looks an absolute bloody animal. To be honest, Scotty, I don't need to change anything with that Sierra Cosworth now. It actually handles exactly how I want it to handle. Don't need to make any changes to it. Excuse me. I mean, like I said, to get that initial bit of extra turning, you can increase or adjust the front camber and it'll do it for you, and it's the same on all of the cars. Okay, yes, you can go into adjusting much more of the settings, but to be honest, I'm not here right now to go through full settings on all cars or anything like that. The car's handling beautifully, so I shall leave it as it is. I mean, while I was doing those 3 laps before, I'm driving around thinking, okay, I know I'm not driving at my best, but the car's not handling at its best either. That little warm-up that I did then, I tested the brakes hard. I tested the steering, I tested the throttle, and everything did exactly what I wanted to do. So much so that I was going to say, right, okay, I'm going to go and do the next 3 laps on that. But I did open it up to the chat room for which car I should drive, so that is exactly what I have done. Now Al does not seem to be messaging us, so I shall pick a BM. I do know that Z4 is quite nice. I've driven that, but I'll pick one that I haven't driven. I think it's going to have to be that one, you know. I've not driven it yet, so we'll go for that one. Pick ourselves a livery. Holy crap. something where you can actually see the shape of the car. Although that does look pretty good. You'll do. Okay, so I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. Now, I haven't driven this car at all yet, so I've no idea what it handles like, I've no idea what it drives like, and in these first 5 minutes I'm going to find out. Now, there's a fairly good chance that I may have to make some changes to this, but again, I'll do the same sort of changes if need be. Adjust the front camber, increase the ride height a little bit, and then crack on. Now, while I am having a blast in this BMW, for anyone else that's watching, it's up to you guys what I drive, as long as we've got it on the game. So if there is a car that you know that's on the game that you want to see me have a blast, or something that you've struggled in, feel free to ask me to drive it, although there are a few where I may just say no. Right, okay, straight out of the box, let's go and see what this handles like. I've got a feeling it's going to be quite similar to that Cosworth. It is from a similar era. Actually, it seems to handle quite nice. On cold tyres anyway. Let's get it on a curb. Didn't like the curb too much. Okay, for some reason the buttons on my steering wheel are not working. I've got no rear view. Weird that, I've got no rear view but handbrake working, as you just heard. Hard on the brakes, took that fine. Sounds nice. Okay, I'm going to try taking this flat out just to see how it handles. I would always advise try taking your car flat out around that corner, because you'll soon find out if it can do it or not, and if it can, it's a lot of time you'll gain. Now, I was offline a bit. It may make it when I'm all on my own there, but it also may not. Okay, got to be careful on being too aggressive down the gears. I could hear another car, and he's there. But because I haven't got a rear view button for the moment, I couldn't look at where he was. Okay, it doesn't like the curbs. Needs the ride height going up a little bit. Oh fella, go past. Come on, go past. Thank you. Oh, I didn't realise there was another one there. It's massively frustrating that for some reason my circle button and square button now no longer work on my wheel, which means I can't look in the rear view. Okay, let's knock these fuel loads off. I haven't got fuel on or damage on at the moment, but I do have no assists on the car. Okay, I didn't really get a chance to test the gears there, but okay, let's pick you up 5mm. That'll help out a little bit with the old curbs. Okay, may have to adjust those. I'm not going to adjust that for now. Okay, 24 seconds left. Not enough time to not enough time to really find out much on the car. You race Mazdas and Subarus. I'm not taking experienced advice, and lost a viewer. Well, Scotty, I'm sorry that you disagree with my opinion, but at the end of the day, you did say this was a 4x4, and it wasn't. And you also were telling me to adjust the front sway bar, but I said I didn't want to. The car handled absolutely lovely as it was, and I didn't want to adjust it any more than that. At the end of the day, if I've got a car that feels quite nice for me to drive, then I'm not really going to play about with it much more. I'm not here to sit there and work on a setup and work on a setup and work on a setup in this particular live stream. Marty, all right, how you doing, mate? Hope you're having a good evening. Sierra Cosworth on this is rear wheel drive.
Green, green, green.
Okay, I'm going to let the AI cars pull away again. Let them get all their crashers out of the way. And as you can see, one of them has just crashed at the start finish. Still doesn't like that curb. Already I am liking how this BMW is driving. Sounds nice. Could probably do with a little bit more on the gears. Didn't like going down into turbo lag range then. Now in some of these old turbo cars you will hear me blipping the throttle quite a lot, and it tends to be so I can try and keep it up in turbo range, because if you do drop out of it, the lag on it can be quite horrible. should not look at notifications while going round a corner. Okay, if you're having problems with the frames per second, there's not a lot I can do about that at the moment. Once I've finished this race, I can make sure that my phone's not connected. But I've had it before where I've had one of my friends saying he's had echo on the Twitch feed, but another friend that's been watching exactly the same footage and not had that issue. Now the one that had the echo didn't have a particularly strong internet connection at the time, so you do have to be mindful of what your internet is doing, as well as me with mine. And I do try and make sure that I haven't got too much running. This doesn't half drive differently to the Cosworth, but I think the AI, or hopefully the AI, will drive in a similar way, slow in the same places. Come on, get offline, there you go. Duck underneath, come on, go. If I wasn't on that curb, I could have gone for it a bit more. Oh, come back. Ah, damn it. Too much sideways and too much of an overreaction then. I made the mistake there of having my hands in sort of the F1 position. I have noticed on this game, if you stick to sort of 9 and 3 hand positions with your thumbs through the wheel, if you have moments like that, it's much more difficult to
Straight to the box at the end of this lap, please.
To recover from it. What I tend to do with my hands when I'm really on the ball is have my thumbs pulling, sort of pointing away from the wheel, so if I need to cross over, I can do. And on that occasion I didn't, and it cost me. Whereas there I had a big sideways moment, although you may not have seen it, and I was able to correct it by getting the right amount of steering lock on. Well, Al, I hope you're enjoying this BMW. It is quite an interesting car to drive. Locked it up under braking then. I'll let him get going again, since I have just given him a nice gentle little nudge. Come on, fella. He left the door open and then tried shutting it when it was too late. Bad driving, Dave, come on. I know what I was trying to do then, but too much throttle. He got himself all out of shape, so I was like, right, okay, we can take him up the inside. But too much throttle, and away she went. But even for me, when you're driving any car on any track, you make mistakes like that, at least you know for next time. We'll try doing the same thing, a little less throttle, it'll work. At the end of the day, you don't know if any of these things will work unless you actually try it. Considering that the only change I've made to this car as well is the ride height, I'm not surprised I'm not driving it as well as that Cosy. I know I can in that Cosy, but that's because that Cosworth has now been, sorry, that four-wheel drive that's actually a rear-wheel drive has now been adjusted. Good job I eased off a bit then, otherwise he would have been having me off.
box.
You're right there, Martin. You do learn by your errors. And you should do. You learn from your mistakes. Otherwise, you just keep making the same mistakes again and again and again. Okay, what are you going to do up here, computer? Are you going to stitch me?
This is the final lap of the race. See if you can take that guy in front of you, otherwise just bring it back in one piece.
Oh, I had to avoid him then. Caught him up a little quicker than I was expecting mid-corner. This could get horribly, horribly nasty. So could this. Don't turn in, don't turn in, thank you. Decided against that one. close to him up here.
Brilliant overtake, nice one. Box, box, box.
It's going wide. Come back, thank you. Well, I've got to admit, considering that these 3 laps I've done are the first 3 laps I've done in this car, I like the car. It's almost as enjoyable as that Sierra Cosworth. Now he's catching me up a bit in the slipstream, so let's break it. Oh, I'm fairly pleased with that car. "771 Scott, how are you this evening?" I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I do know that you get the virtual HUD. It was just baffling me that in the warm-up I didn't have the buttons working for some reason. Right, okay, I'm going to have a quick smoke break on that one. So if anybody else can think of a car that they would like me to drive, feel free to mention it now. In a moment I will put the screen on the view of the class of cars, so if someone wants to just pick a class of car, I can do that. Although I do want to see how long I've been streaming for, because for anyone that wasn't watching early on, I did say that I'm going to stop before I get to 2 hours, and then restart again, because Twitch has been playing about something stupid lately, and I want to see whether it's going to mess me about with videos that are less than 2 hours long, or whether it's just videos that are longer than 2 hours. If anyone that's watching also streams on Twitch and has been having a similar problem where it just will not export the files over to YouTube, or even if you go to create a highlight, the footage just seems to not be there. If anyone has experienced that and knows how to solve it, feel free to tell me. Okay, something I just want to have a quick look at for my own peace of mind, and then I shall put it on the car classes. Okay, for anyone that is interested, it does say at the top there it is a rear wheel drive, not a 4-wheel drive. But anyway, something else I wanted to have a quick look at. Okay. Right. Okay, so I'll put it onto the I was going to say classes of cars. Let's do it this way. Okay, so if someone would like to pick a class of car for me to go and have a drive in, you can do. I may change track as well. I'm just going to have a quick smoke break. Scott, that's just mean. I've driven that car once, so I shall go and give it another blast. I found it a tricky one to drive because with it only having having 4 gears, it was quite an interesting one to get to grips with, shall we say. Now the Capri isn't in that class. Where is it? It's in this class. Okay. Well, that's a bit outlandish, so we'll go with that one. Any particular track, Scott, or does it not really matter? Excuse me. Le Mans. Ooh. I don't mind going to Le Mans. It'll be interesting to see what it handles like around there. If I remember rightly, I took it to Brands Hatch and found it to be quite tricky there. Right. I'm just going to give myself full screen again, but I have got my iPad on next to me, so if you do want to message me, feel free to do so. Although while I am racing, I'm probably not going to respond to messages. I will catch up with them afterwards. Walsh, I've not played Forza, so for me it'd be difficult for me to give a direct comparison. The games I have played on is Gran Turismo on the PS3, the Formula 1 series on PS3, Drive Club on the PS4. What a waste of time that was. I would say that this has definitely got the better handling and physics than Gran Turismo by a mile, but I do know that Forza players believe Forza annihilates Gran Turismo. I haven't played it, so I can't really comment. I'd say yes, it is. I mean, it's difficult. I know what you were saying. Like, is it as realistic? I can't compare it to Forza, but I mean, a lot of people thought that Gran Turismo was very realistic. Me personally, I didn't. And for me, the F1 series of games, they drive beautifully, even though a bit tricky. Compare that to the Formula A's on here. I bloody hate them on here. Now, if the Formula A's on here are what is more realistic than F1, then yeah, it's more realistic. I mean, I can't say I've ever thrashed a car around a track in real life, so it's difficult for me to compare to real life. But with Gran Turismo, there was things that particular game did, like for example, you could slow down to 30 mile an hour to take a corner. If you were in third gear, it just would not make that corner. But if you were in second gear doing 30 mile an hour, it would make that corner. Now, to me, that's bloody ridiculous. On this game, you could do exactly the same thing, but it'll make the corner in both cases. That, to me, is more realistic. I'd say the sounds are realistic. The crashes are fairly realistic. Absolute bloody carnage, especially if you've got damage on. And I mean, if you look at the smaller things for the realism, with a lot of the cars on this game, if you just bang the brakes on, you are going to lock the wheels up. If you go too aggressively down the gears, you are going to lock the rear end up, spin it out. So all those little things do aim more towards the realism. I mean, with F1 you could abuse the downshifts. And on Gran Turismo, trying to floor it while you got a fag in your hand does not work. Yeah, on Gran Turismo, I mean, I always found that difficult. I mean, if you're on racing tyres, you could pretty much do whatever you wanted. But if you were on comfort tyres, which essentially were road tyres, you couldn't press the brake, you couldn't turn, you couldn't put your foot down. And to me, that wasn't realistic. I mean, if you're driving a Nissan Micra at 5 mile an hour and it still won't make a corner, then that's definitely not realistic. Okay, it's got 5 gears, not 4, my bad. You could do with a bit more gear on it. Yeah, you see, now for me, Walshy, that's how it should be. What gear you're in shouldn't dictate whether you make a corner or not. How you drive it round the corner should. Give it a bit of throttle, go on, get that rear end out, come back. Too much overreaction. But it is only warm up, so we try thrashing it about a bit, see what it is capable of. Okay, let's whack the fuel off and see if we can make 5th gear a tiny bit longer. And I do only want it a tiny bit longer, but chances are it's not going to allow me to adjust it a tiny amount. That little change, that's going to be too long. Okay, let's go this way. Now, with the amount of time that's left, I'm not going to get a chance to see what it handles like around the twisties. Has this got cockpit view? Yes, it has. It's got a very good cockpit view. It's actually got 3 different ones. You've got normal cockpit view, you've got third person cockpit view or passenger cockpit view, you've got helmet cam, so you've got cockpit view, third person cockpit view, helmet cam, all of which are fairly damn good. Depending on the car, depends on which view I will actually use. Most of the time I like the bonnet view so I can see the front of the car. If I'm in the open wheelers, cockpit view is more enjoyable. For the Le Mans cars, I like the passenger view. I don't know why, it's not something I would normally use. But in the LMPs, oh you sod, come on, speed up. In the LMPs, it is quite nice. And what I will try and do when I get onto the straight, I'll put it onto one of the cockpit views. Ooh. See, that's the view I like driving the Le Mans cars in. And with the cockpit views as well, you can also move your seat, although I took those buttons off, so you can move your view further forward, further back, and it can help quite a bit. The problem I find with cockpit view though, in cars other than the open wheeler, I do tend to mess up the corners a little more. I'm just not used to it. And with the helmet cam, it does help you out quite a bit. It'll look towards the corner at the point you should be braking. But when you've got a load of AI cars around you, if you wait for that moment, there's a fairly good chance you're just going to ram into the back of them. Could still have done with a little bit more gear. Ah, come on, speed up. Ah, could have done without that. Because on the cockpit view as well, with those little moments, because of, well, in the helmet cam view anyway, it is much more difficult to react to those little moments like that. Don't you dare turn in. Also, with a car that I've not worked on setup, it's never going to be the best of drives. Right, I'm going to go back to my preferred view. Sepp Blatter's resigned? Really? Oh, we're going to have to get a new Sepp Blatter now. I wonder if that means that the English guy who was nominated vice president takes over then. He's going to get a slipstream on me. Bit deep there. Oh. That hurt. A big wiggle under braking then. It's weird, but that car looks more like a Porsche than a Ford Capri. It really does look like a Porsche. Ooh, interesting comment there, Walsh. Should give it Fergie. Not a bad call, but I don't know if he'd want it. He's very involved with his charity work, and the reason he retired was so that he could spend more time with his wife. The thing is, if he's doing something, if he's in charge of something, then he's really in charge of it. Would he get that at FIFA? Maybe, but I bet there's still plenty of people within the system that are corrupt, which means if they're not taken out before the next person comes in, they're still going to have a similar problem. As far as Sepp Blatter's concerned, I mean, if you think about it, if you're running it and it's full of corrupt people, then surely it falls with you. I mean, you take a football club, if you're the manager of the team and all of your players are fucking drug addicts and alcoholics, and you know about it but do bugger all about it, then I don't think you'll be keeping your job for very long. I mean, I was watching the best bits of Soccer AM this morning, and one of the things Helen said on that was about Sepp Blatter was if he didn't know that corruption was going on, then basically he's a moron. He's a buffoon, were her words. And if he does know that it's happening, then he should be in jail. Oh, he did not like that then. See, this is what happens when I talk football instead of concentrate on driving. And someone else made a good point today as well, which was, surely it's a little bit odd that pretty much everyone who has ever gone up against him as a candidate has backed out within a couple of days before the election takes place. Now that in itself is a little bit odd. I mean, you've got people like Figo, who felt that he could easily win it, backs out. We've got Platini, backs out. I mean, Platini's had plenty to say about Blatter as well. Prince Al Hussein. So who's he then?
That was a sweet move, great stuff.
Oh, too much throttle. Oh. So, is this realistic? I'd say yes. You go putting too much throttle down on a rear wheel drive car with too much steering on, you're gonna do that. Well, even more proof that I am not fully on my game. 3 days without driving really does affect you. I'll have to see if it's the same with FIFA later on. 3 days without playing that and see if I'm even worse than I was before.
Straight to the box at the end of this lap, please.
Well, it handled better than it did when I took it round Brands Hatch. It felt much faster. Not a bad car to drive, that. I mean, a few mistakes, but a big part of that is because someone mentioned Fergie and I'm a Man United fan, so let's catch up with these messages. Okay. Thank you very much, Scott. I know I can do better. I'm definitely off my game a bit at the minute. I mean, if Fergie did take over at FIFA, things would change a lot. See, now it would be interesting if Blatter has now resigned, then they should open it up to a number of candidates. For example, all of the people that were going to be candidates this year should be allowed to reapply. Steve, it'll be FIFA later. You can lose it, Walsh. It depends on how much you drink. Oh, yeah. Cheers, Steve. I don't lose it all the time. I only lose it when the game screws you over. And actually, that's not true, Steve. I would happily stream FIFA, but it would have to come with a parental advisory. There would be a lot of F's, C's, A's, but either that I just wouldn't talk. But I tell you what, I played an FUT game yesterday morning. Bearing in mind I was only running on like 2.8 meg of internet. I'm playing in the Premier League Cup thing, and I'm up against a team that's got like all bloody team of the week players and all this kind of stuff, and it's laggy as hell. My players don't seem to be able to pass or do anything, and then the next thing I know, he's ran down the wing, crossed it in, and Yaya Toure has scored a Rene Higuita style goal. And I'm like, you gotta be taking the piss. So not only am I getting screwed by my players, I'm getting screwed by the referee, and the player I'm playing against is taking the piss royally. I would have quit at that point if it weren't for the fact that I needed the money. But, I mean, how you even score a Rene Higuita style goal, I don't know, but he did. I bet he didn't even know that he was going to do it, but I can guarantee you that goal's on bloody YouTube now, the bastard. I mean, I was tempted to do a video clip of it myself, then I thought, no, that's just embarrassing. Right, okay, let's see how long we have been broadcasting for. Okay, we've been broadcasting for an hour and 48 minutes, so I am going to bring this broadcast to an end now, because I do need to test something out on Twitch. I need to see if it's going to mess up my videos that are less than 2 hours long. So I know I can export a video up to 2 hours direct to YouTube, but what I want to be able to do is make sure I can get highlights off it. At the moment, anything above 2 hours is not letting me do it. So if you do want to continue watching me race or suggest cars for me to drive, then come and find me in a moment. Right, okay, so have a good one for those of you that are not going to be viewing more, but I shall be back online in a moment.